assault. Laura Jones has been speaking to her, and a warning that this report does contain references to sexual assault.
I was sexually assaulted, and my story doesn't end there. I was actually sued by the perpetrator, and so I learned what it was like not to be able to have a voice.
Olivia was locked in a legal battle for years, during which she was unable to speak out.
I was 19. There were a lot of parties happening. I actually felt really scared at this party and thought that this person was safe to leave with.
After reporting the assault, their university ruled in Olivia's favour, but the ordeal didn't stop there, with the perpetrator pushing for a review and then suing for defamation.
Abusers, especially wealthy abusers, use the gray area in the law to try to silence their victims. The thing I kept telling my mom was, if people knew what was happening, they wouldn't be okay with it. And if I could just talk to someone who got it, who had been through something similar, that it would feel more bearable.
After the lawsuit came to a close, Olivia wanted to create the safe space she felt she had desperately needed. She decided to found Communia, a social media app aimed at women and non-binary people.
Communia is the first of its kind social network that builds for social health. So you can connect with yourself as much as you connect with others through a unique digital journaling format. You can find community support, things like mood tracking, goal setting, and guided journals. And then as well as that, we do have a more Twitter-esque feed.
And there's also an anonymous feature.
There will always be things that you find difficult to say with your identity attached, whether you're being sued or not.
For some, online visibility can come with a risk. According to Refuge, a third of women in the UK have experienced online abuse. Shashwati Basu, a podcaster and former journalist based in London, responded to a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, about asylum seekers with her thoughts on how they're treated in the UK.
I just got flooded with just homophobic, sexist, racist comments. It just puts you in a really vulnerable position because there's no content moderation anymore. If you report accounts, it doesn't really do anything. I felt annoyed with the tech companies. They just kept saying block. Just use the block button, it's your friend. It's unacceptable, and there just needs to be way more responsibility for the tech companies. They're not pulling their weight.
X declined to comment. To tackle problems like trolling, Communia verifies all members by email, and if they want to talk about certain topics like sex or the Me Too movement, they have to be verified using a photo ID.
When I told people in the industry that we were requiring ID verification, they thought I was out of my mind. But our conversion rates hover around 75%, and that is astronomically higher than industry average. The other thing that we do differently is that we will always have a human element of our moderation, even as we scale. We've seen big tech companies create incredible harm in societal conflicts through not investing in real people to moderate.
And how concerned are you that the human content moderators are going to be able to keep up with the kind of growth that you're hoping for?
You'd be surprised by how scalable human moderators are, and I would invest in them over maybe some surface level accoutrements that you really don't need.
For one Communia user, these safety features were a big draw. Lucy, not her real name, was trying to recover from an eating disorder and used Tumblr to find support.
I'd befriended someone who, on the surface, seemed to be another minor who was also suffering with anorexia, and we'd sort of decided to be accountability partners. He'd started asking for photographs to check that I'm not slipping back into my old habits. The messages were getting to be things that were making me more and more uncomfortable. And when I'd realised he was essentially sort of fetishizing the disorder, I'd stopped interacting, and he proceeded to send several half-nude photographs. The fact that it was clearly a man was quite startling. At the time when I reported it, it was not deemed harassment. I felt really violated by it. It just didn't feel safe.
Lucy's experience on other, more mainstream platforms wasn't much better.
No matter where you go, if you admit you're a woman, it's like a the environment just becomes sexualized automatically. And that was quite distressing.
Which is why a platform like Communia was so appealing.
A positive space for women is really important.
With more than 100,000 downloads, Olivia now hopes to scale the Communia app to become more profitable via subscriptions. A key challenge will be not compromising on the safe space she sought to provide.
Even though he sued me for millions, I didn't pay a penny. There was a moment where I had a choice to make. I could have attempted to get personal justice for myself, or I could have started Communia with the funds that I had left for that legal battle. I will be damned if I don't force something positive to come out of that experience. And if I can support other women in whatever it is that they're going through, then that's enough justice for me.
And if you've been affected by issues raised in this film, details of support are available at bbc.co.uk/actionline. OPM is an American artist and designer. She won this year's AI Fashion Week competition by clothing retailer Revolve. This is Opie's story.
My name is Ope, and I am a fashion futurist. It was something that I was always into. The first thing that I did with a pencil was draw some clothing. That's my first memory. It was hard for my father to accept me as an artist because it was just not what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to be a doctor. I always wanted to be a designer, a fashion designer. Once I left school after my father passed away, I started to manage stores. And then years later, I went and became a fashion stylist. I was always looking for subjects. I started to dabble into photography, creative direction, painting. I was incorporating some of my paintings into all of the artwork that I was creating. So I was doing a lot. I just started to experiment more with digital fashion, avatars, and metaverse technology. If metaverse is gamification of life, then the NFT gets you into the game. It is the game token. At that time, it was novel, it was new, and so I created my first NFT artwork for an art gallery inside the metaverse. It's a long process, but the short form is that I go into a program called Gravity Sketch, and I create my artwork in Gravity Sketch in 3D form. And then I take my 3D render and I put that into another application that renders it into voxels, that, voxelizes it, makes it into like box-like figures. I started to create for a competition called AI Fashion Week. It included runway, it included front row, it included street style. In order to create a sketch, I have to use language to communicate to the AI what it is I want to see, and the AI will generate that item for me. So I did this repetitively to create the collection that is now seen. At that time, it was a 50-piece collection. By the time it got to Revolve, it had to be edited because it was a more, fantastical design. The clothes that I'm creating do feel a bit more powerful. I do come from wanting to see more romantic styles, but something that is also very fashion forward. It's like romance with a hard edge. And so I went through a lot of iterations with Revolve to create what became a 12-piece capsule collection. It was something that I wanted to wear in the metaverse, but it was also something I wanted to wear in real life. It's so exciting that these pieces have been able to go from AI sketches to actual physical, tangible pieces that I could see. From the design to the fit model has been incredible because I did not imagine that that was going to be our end result. So I'm looking forward to all of the things that we can do translating AI fashion into actual physical product.
And that's it for this Women in Tech special. Thank you for watching. We shall be back next week. Bye-bye.